Hey guys, welcome back to Rave Culture Cast, your weekly guide to the EDM community, music festivals, and more. I'm your host, Emma Capotis. I'm already laughing, you guys. I got Invisalign, okay? And it's really kind of hard to talk. I'm like still getting used to it. And when you have a microphone up in your face, I feel like it's emphasized so much. So we're all going to get used to this together. Bear with me. It's going to be a journey. I have to wear these for like literally a year to a year and a half, depending on how it goes. So I just put in new liners today. This is like week 2 that I'm going on. And like the first few days are hard and then I get used to it. But anyway, I just had to point that out right off the bat because things might sound a little bit different on some of my like S's and other words. But anyway, super excited for you guys to be here today. Before we dive into the episode and I do the intro to our fucking incredible guest today, which I still can't believe this happened. It was so amazing. Definitely watch this one on YouTube if you guys aren't already. Gotta plug Groove Cruise 2025 because rooms are literally almost gone. They're already 91% sold out, but by the time this comes out, they're probably like 95% sold out. So you guys want to grab them before they're gone. I am going again. I am a partner again, you guys. My code is still active. So if you want to save $50 off per person, per room, up to $200 in savings if you get a quad room, use code RAVECULTURECAST. All one word, Rave Culture Cast, and that'll apply it to your room. Payment plans are available, all the good things. I had such a great time. Our entire group literally rebooked the week we came home. It is too good to not go. I'm so on board for Groove Cruise, you guys. And next year's ship is twice the size. It's Royal Caribbean, Allure of the Seas. I can't get over how I sound right now. Sorry. It's going to be incredible. It's just going to be amazing, guys. It's going to be massive. So many stages, 18 decks. It's crazy. I'm on deck 12 if you want to book with me. But just want to put that out there because rooms are going to be gone soon. So definitely book as soon as possible. All right. With that being said, let's chat about today's guest. So this is somebody who has been big in the game for 20 plus years. His previous project, Claude VonStroke, anybody heard of him? Won over audiences and built a legacy through his label Dirtybird Records and events like Dirtybird Camp Out. Barclay Crenshaw, which was originally his side project, an alias, when he was, playing under Claude VonStroke, which, by the way, Barclay Crenshaw is his real name. He is now laser focused on this new direction. It's incredible. He has been exploring genres near and dear to his heart. So bass music, dub, hip hop, funk. It's all fun, high energy. It's incredible, you guys. His new album, Open Channel, is going to drop on March 8th, followed by a tour kicking off March 8th in New York City at Webster Hall. So go stream the album, save the date, buy tickets to the show, support, guys. He's absolutely incredible. This new direction is so refreshing. I've been like binge listening to his sets online and it just feels really right for Barclay. So we're going to talk a little bit about how this huge change has happened for him, his story, and honestly, just learning from the best. It was incredible just getting to pick his brain. So without further ado, please welcome to the podcast, Barclay Crenshaw. We'll kick things off. Like I said, I'm so excited to have you here. And I've had Dirtybird fam on the podcast. Nikki has been in the podcast a couple years ago, which was really cool. And I've been loving what you're doing. It looks like you're having a ton of fun. And I'm excited to chat with you at this time in your career. But yeah, as I mentioned, 80 days to make an album. So what day are we actually on today?
We're actually done.
Okay.
So the 80 days, it was kind of my fault. I didn't think of this that when I was doing it over the summer, I didn't think that when I started posting them, obviously everyone would think that was the actual day that I was on.
Sure.
But it's actually already done. But we are still counting down until the release date. So day 0 is the day that the album comes out.
Amazing.
But feasibly, you can't really set up an album the same day it gets finished.
Quickly. Yeah, for sure. But it has been fun following the journey. Like I love the way that you've been doing this and the commitment to posting daily, like whatever the updates are. It's been really, really fun following that. I think that the most recent posts have been your trip to London, which I just saw. And
that was harder like an
than amazing I trip.
That was harder than I thought it would be to post every day. To just record something every day seems all like no problem, but it's actually kind of annoying.
Yeah. Because sometimes you don't feel up to it, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it ended up being fun. That London trip was really great.
Oh, that's so awesome. I wanted to ask you your connection to London because funny story, when I was growing up, like back when like iTunes was like the thing where you were looking at the charts, like I would always set my iTunes to the UK. I just really
Yeah,
loved their music scene,
it's
and that
great.
was just something I related to. So having so many vocalists and artists from the UK has been amazing to see. But was there, what was the rhyme or reason to that?
I also have a long history of going to London as Claude VonStroke, and the club Fabric was probably one of the first places to pick up on like my career,
Mm-hmm.
and Judy over there and all the staff, and a lot of those people are still there. And I think like that's the first town that I ever DJ'd in outside of America, and it was the first time I went like seriously raving like all night until the next day and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just always really liked it. And
Okay.
I also think, of course, I love America, but I think there's something going on in England where the average UK citizen deeply cares about music. A
Mm-hmm.
little bit more than the average citizen over here. I think people love music
Mm-hmm.
here, of course, but if it's almost like they know more facts and they're more studied on like this genre and that genre and the way they merge, and it just seems like people are a little bit more into individual artists and following people and stuff, which
Mm-hmm.
is why there's like 800 festivals on an island the size of Michigan.
Right. Yeah, very true. That's
Right.
true. Yeah, their culture is pretty amazing. I haven't had a chance to rave over there actually. So it's on the bucket list of things to do. But yeah, no, they're scene. Would you say like as far as genres go too, that they're pretty like fluid with what they enjoy listening to as well? Because you're mixing so many different things with the Barclay Crenshaw project.
No, they are a little bit more hyper genre focused, even more than
Mm,
here. And that
cool.
it just depends on who you talk to. I can't generalize at all, but I will just give
Sure.
you an example of like the grime MCs that I was working with, Manga and Snowy on one track, were
Mm-hmm.
telling me like Snowy's having a hard time doing anything in London because he's from Nottingham. And I'm
Oh
like,
wow.
"What?"
Yeah.
and they're like, if you don't do the right things in the right click, then you can't get anywhere in grime in London, and everything's very clicky. And I do remember that being
Interesting.
similar in drum and bass and jungle in like the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like I met this DJ from, I think he's from Sweden or Norway, on a plane, and he had an English
Mm-hmm.
accent. And I'm like, I thought you were from Sweden. And he goes, Yeah, I had to develop an English accent because no one would listen to my demos
Oh
in the
my
drum and
god.
bass scene.
That's
Well, anyway,
insane.
I don't know. I'm like going all these convoluted answers.
No, no, no. I love it. I love it. That's why wherever this conversation goes, I'm happy with it. But no, I just wanted to kind of like hear about that story because I love the direction that you're going in, and like the new tracks and everything. But I want to back up a little too. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. But um, you also grew up with like influences like hip hop, and you were super into that scene as well. Like, how has that influence kind of come into this project, and do you feel like the music you're making now is like the most true to you like growing up as well?
Yeah. I mean, I got a radio, like a jam box, when I was, I think, 11 years old.
Mhm.
And I just turned it on the radio every single night. Maybe even before that, I had a radio. And it was pretty much right when rap music was starting to go.
Mhm.
And I, it was definitely my first love. I became obsessed with hip hop and rap from like all my teen years, and then I kind of got
Mhm.
into other stuff, and then somehow I got into house music. I don't even know how that happened, but
Yeah.
it just did. And
Yeah.
then, but I always loved all the breaks based genres, hip hop, jungle,
Mhm.
funk, anything that like the core, even like James Brown, where the core thing is like on a break.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, and I was listening to one of your videos, one of your updates. You were talking about kind of like the new style that you're working with and just like learning new things and just how
Yeah.
producing like some of the things have been more difficult than you thought they were going to be. Can you talk a little bit about kind of like how you've even like developed your skill set more throughout this project?
Yeah. So the bass genre is hyper technical.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want a track that can be played in one of these sets, you have to do a little bit of learning. You can't just lay down a kick drum and bump, bump, bump like you can with house. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's semi-scientific.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that that's all I'm doing, which is not. I don't want to just be like, this is the new dubstep DJ on the block. That is definitely not what
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing. But I
Right.
do like some of that music. And so I made a couple of those songs. And in order to make them even hold up in the modern DJ culture, you
Mm-hmm.
you got to like watch some tutorials
Right.
because the routing and all this crazy
Go
stuff that
back to
people are doing.
school.
People are
Yeah.
really smart, way
Yeah.
smarter than me.
It's well done, but I think it's good. I feel like every time I've leveled up in my life is like a phase where I was like educating myself more, or I took a new course, or I was working with a coach or something like that. So sometimes you just need to go through those phases where you are obviously just like exposing yourself to new things and learning new things to like embrace that new part of yourself. So it sounds like that's kind of like you said, going back to school and
Yeah.
doing tutorials,
The
figuring it
funny
out.
thing, the funny thing that you say about having a coach, I've actually had a coach for like years. He's almost my shrink at this point,
Mm-hmm.
where he just keep like he's basically like a time management slash
Mm.
productivity guru.
Okay.
But at this point, he's my psychologist.
Good.
Like,
Which is also great to have. So,
right. I just do a weekly chat with him and I just get my it's amazing how far off
vent.
track you can go in 1 week
Mm,
and then just
right.
rein
Well,
it
and
back
especially
in.
when you're but that's helpful. Sometimes, yeah, you need like somebody with non-biased opinion to just give it to you straight and like, yeah, exactly, like get you back on track with whatever you need to be focusing on at that time.
Yeah,
It's important
it's
to have
more
those
for me,
people.
it's more about time management and
Hmm.
getting scatterbrained and like doing too many things and just forgetting what the focus is.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually
Ooh,
what
okay.
like I'm supposed to be making music, right? Oh, I'm doing like
Mm-hmm.
500 other projects, but I'm supposed to be making music. So let's do that.
Sure. Okay. I want to dig a little deeper on that because that hits home with me personally. Like I am head in the clouds, like to have so many projects going on, podcast, full-time job. Like I'm a new mom. Like I have a million things that I'm doing right
Oh
now.
yeah.
So I do need to dig into that more with you because I was looking back and I mean, like in the Dirtybird era, I know like obviously you have the record label,
Yeah.
multiple music festivals, merch line, music, managing a team. You have a family, like you have a million things going on. Like how did you juggle that during that time, and then kind of like what did you learn you were best at throughout that whole process?
I was really just holding it together with duct tape at first because we had
Mm-hmm.
2 babies right when I got popular. And
Okay.
now they're like 15 and 17.
Oh
but
yeah.
but I can relate to that whole thing. That was definitely interesting because I was just going for it all the way and we
Mm-hmm.
just had a lot of responsibilities and pressure.
Right.
I oddly, I think that I respond better to pressure than
Mm-hmm.
not having pressure. Does that make sense? Like
Yes.
the more pressure
Yeah.
there is, the better I do.
Right.
So I don't know why that is. It's unfortunate because I
Sure.
would love to not have all. So
Yeah.
basically, what happens is when there's no pressure, I create pressure for no reason.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I think that's important for me for some reason. I have to
Mm-hmm.
make these like this is like the 80 days thing. Like let's make a really impossible. So your last album took you a year to make. Let's chop that way down and make it totally
Yep.
impossible, and during a family vacation and during the summer when
Yeah.
everyone's trying to do stuff. And let's see
Sure.
how you do with that. So that kind of is
Mm-hmm.
how I operate.
That's awesome. And film everything on social media.
Yeah, I know.
And also a rebrand and like everything. New merch line, which I'm so happy you're wearing, like the hat that sold out in like 2 seconds, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, but sometimes that's just how we operate, right? Like it just, if that's, you're just a person that is a creative and you like to juggle a lot of things, but yeah, maybe having those constraints like is motivating in some weird way. But I feel you on the internal pressure, because I feel like a lot of the times it's not necessarily an external thing that's
Yeah,
happening. It's like me making that pressure myself a lot of the time.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It can get hard.
But it's okay. You're gonna make it.
We manage, right? Somehow.
Yeah, we make it. We make it work.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess like just closing the chapter sort of on Dirtybird, obviously, you know, you guys created such a loyal fan base there. You had to develop sound, artists that like I think of immediately when I think of Dirtybird and the festivals and the community there. So I guess what are you hoping to carry over from that? Or do you envision the community of Barclay Crenshaw being like entirely different than the community that developed with Dirtybird?
I don't think it's going to be entirely different because I think some people will come along for the ride, but I
Mm-hmm.
am very open to getting new fans and developing a new community kind of over here on the left or wherever we are.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Dirtybird is still going great, and everybody over there is awesome, and they're still running it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that I'm not working there anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't think about like Dirtybird as much as I used to, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so I basically know everything that I liked about Dirtybird and what I didn't like. And so I'm just
Mm-hmm.
trying to pick out my favorite things and doing
Sure.
those and kind of just not doing the things that they were cool, but they're just like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like if you're running a big company, there's some things you like and some things you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So like one
Sure.
thing, an example of this is one thing I really like at Dirtybird was when we did the patches at our festivals. Like we
Mm-hmm.
would make individual patches for like this thing or that thing, and everyone would
Sure.
trade them, and it became like a whole thing. And you would show up to camp out, and you'd have like 30 patches that you collected over the
That's
last
awesome.
3 years. So
Yeah.
I'm doing that again. So at every show on this tour, I'm giving out 300 patches, but you have to literally go to that date to
Oh,
get
that's
that
sick.
patch. And
Right.
some crazy person is going to have all the patches at the end, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to like hug them and send them a bottle of wine or something. I don't know, but
That's
maybe we'll
awesome.
send them like some crazy jacket that they can put them on. But,
Right.
uh, and then I think people will trade them and be like, do you have New York? Do you have LA? Blah, blah, blah. I just
Mm-hmm.
like all this kind of, it's like being a kid. And I don't know, I collect comics still, and I'm just a nerd.
No. I love it though. It's like it's like a loyalty program. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, like I think I work a lot with like building communities, and I think that's such a great idea because it's just so cool to have a limited amount of something like a collector's item, like you mentioned, that exactly like can just show your dedication to a family or a community or something like that. And I know you have like I think is the first show on the tour New York. That's
Yeah. That's the
the
album
album
release
release,
party.
right?
Yeah.
Coming up. Okay, I might have to come out to that because I'm in New Jersey, so
Oh, cool. For
that's where I
sure.
come to shows at Webster Hall, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It'll be awesome.
that's so awesome. So will they have their own? Will that have their own like 300 patches at the New York
New
show?
York City has one of the coolest patches. It's the actual album cover because it's the release date.
Love it.
So that's going to be a super coveted patch, I feel like. That's going to be a big
That's so
one.
awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, and I wanted to chat too just about like it's been seven years now since your first album under
I
Barclay
can't
Crenshaw,
believe
I
that.
think.
That's so
Yeah.
long. I know.
I mean, 2017 doesn't sound like that long ago, but yeah, when you put like when you think about how many years have gone by, it's I think COVID has just like erased years of our
Yeah.
life. Um, but no, I mean, when you approach it now in 2024, like I'm sure the music industry is a little bit different. Social media is obviously completely different. Like, how have you approached the project now in 2024? And are there like any challenges that have been different to almost like relaunch this in a way to people who may not have known that, you know, you had this project before?
Yeah. So good question.
Mm-hmm.
In 2017, this was very much a side project. And I tried to squeeze in a little baby tour for like
Mm-hmm.
2 months. And it just was something I was doing like as just like it wasn't my main career. It was just kind of
Mm-hmm.
like here's my little alias thing.
Right,
This
right.
time around, I'm not even doing Claude VonStroke. This is it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm all in. I'm actually investing into the shows. So like we're basically not even making money for because I'm bringing like dancers and lasers and all this crazy,
Mm,
and we're doing like everything we can to make it amazing. And I'm very focused on the music and the question about how the industry's changed is I don't think it works to just put out an album every 7 years anymore. Like not
mm-hmm.
that that ever worked, but
Right.
like my plan is to release a track every 2 weeks
Mm-hmm.
after the album is out for a little while, and so I'm gonna just do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have so much stuff and so many ideas, and I don't really want to be like, hey, I'm just now a dubstep DJ. I want to do all kinds of funk and breaks and jungle and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think just consistently releasing and talking to my fans, like I'm talking to everyone now directly every week on a newsletter, which I never did before either. Like
Yes.
I did that for like a few weeks one year, but
Mm-hmm.
now I think because social media is kind of a bait and switch technology where
Mm-hmm.
they collect all your fans and then they charge you to talk to them.
Right,
So like
right.
you post something and only 5% of the people that follow you even ever see it.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that in my newsletter, it's going to the people that signed up for the newsletter. I don't have to wonder if they're
Right.
getting the email. So I
Mm-hmm.
just think that's a cool way to do like more one-on-one interaction. And I also started a Discord
Sure.
server where I'm literally in there every week
Mm-hmm.
answering questions and just talking. And this week I'm going to
That's
start
awesome.
live streaming in there.
Yes.
That's tonight.
Amazing. Definitely do it. Oh, okay. Oh, that's so fun. So I have like a mini like Discord server for the Rave Culture Cast fam, but I run a Discord. I work for Beatbox Beverages. We're like a party punch that sponsor like a ton of festivals, and we have like 7,000 members in our Discord. So I run our Discord through that, and it's like the most insane. It's like a group chat. That's the
Yeah,
best way to describe it. Like you're just
massive
in
group
there
chat.
chatting with people daily. They become friends. You can live stream in it, which is so nice. So yeah, I think you're like approaching this in the best way possible because I think that like one-on-one connection is really what's separating artists right now
Yeah,
personally because I love when artists are like you know it's them behind the screen and you're talking to them. I think that makes like all the difference personally.
I think so too. And even though our Discord has had, I mean, there's only like 600 people in there right now,
Mhm.
but every week, like 50 more people hear about it, and then they just come
Mhm.
in and they tell 3 friends, and eventually there's going to be 10,000 people in there, and it's going to be crazy.
Yep.
But I mean, it's going to take a while, but that's okay.
100%. Yeah, but you know those 600 fans are like they're
Yeah,
truly there for yeah. And sometimes it's nice like when I feel like this is just the baby stage, like it's just the beginning and you're going to remember the OG people who were there from the beginning before it like gets up to that level, but it's cool to see you trying different things. Is there anything that you liked more than you thought you would like or like you said sometimes the posts are exhausting?
yeah. I actually thought the newsletter was going to be terrifying and impossible to think of
Mhm.
something to write every week, and it's actually the opposite. It's so easy and fun, and
Yeah.
I like writing. I was a creative writing major, and like
Mm.
I don't find the newsletter hard at all. I like it.
Right.
And I
That's
mean,
awesome.
I think like people might be like, oh, a weekly newsletter. Oh my God, that's so many emails. But those aren't the people that I'm really writing it for. I'm writing for
Right.
the people who actually just want to get free mixes and
Mm-hmm.
VIP versions of the tracks and just like hear about the process and video things and secret giveaways and all. Like it's just like
Sure.
for the people who actually want to get it. Like if they don't want to
Right.
get it, I don't care. Like just don't
Yeah.
subscribe to it or unsubscribe. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. And is there anything like, have you taken any like feedback or comments from fans? Because even like for the merch, for example, like I love the whole inspiration that the story you told behind the tour and the theme, and even like how that translates to the merch. Like, have you gotten
Yeah.
any feedback from fans and stuff on all that?
Um, I think the feedback was in the sale itself was
Yeah.
really, really surprising. The sale did 3 times better than like the best Dirtybird Christmas season ever.
Wow.
And I was like, this is a brand new project that nobody even really knows is happening yet.
Yeah.
And I was
Sure,
like,
sure, sure.
this is crazy. What is going on? And my
That's
whole thing
awesome.
with that is I never like to even call it merch because I
Mm-hmm.
think there's, especially in this genre, there's a lot of stuff that just looks like not my favorite stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
Following.
I'll just put it that way.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, nobody's doing like the Bape or like the Kith version of like artist merch. So we're trying to make
Mm-hmm.
it like really nice cotton, all the crazy loop tags and patches and no dye sublimation like nylon
Mm-hmm.
jersey. You know, I'm not into that. I
Right.
I refuse to sell anything that I would not wear.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm not going to wear it, it's not coming out.
Right, right, right. Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, and I mean, like, how one thing I did want to like talk about too, like I mentioned, so I do like a lot of like festival reviews and like lineup reviews and things like that to help people discover new music. And even I think it was the Electric Forest lineup that you're on. But even when I did like a full breakdown of that by genre, I think it's like funny to see the reaction sometimes where people may not recognize the new name, like they might have recognized Claude VonStroke. So it's like that whole
Right.
new introduction of like what's happening. But yeah, like what is your reaction kind of like to that, to like kind of starting
Yeah.
over with this like new project this year?
So many times. I can't even tell you how many times this has happened
Yeah.
where I'll like be at a show even and people will be like, "Oh my God, you're Claude VonStroke? I didn't even know."
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "Yeah, it's the same. It's not." We were
It's me.
so
Yeah.
we used to do jokes. So my brother looks a lot like me, and we
Okay.
used to do jokes at Camp Out, Dirtybird Camp Out, where
Oh,
he would
nice.
wear the Barclay Crenshaw clothes and then sneak up behind me during the Claude set, and
Oh
people would
my
be like,
God.
"I thought it was the same guy. What?"
Right.
And they're like, "It really is his brother."
Yeah.
And then I do things like at Wakan when I played both sets, I'll say, "Oh, my little brother is playing over on the other stage in like 20
Oh
minutes."
my
I
God.
don't know. We just like I don't know why it's funny to me to perpetuate that it's two
Yeah.
different people. But it's not two different people. It's really me.
That's awesome. Well, you never, I mean, at this state, I feel like there's so many artists out there who have like aliases or performing with things on their head and like you just don't
Yeah.
even know who it is. And it's like, yeah, at this point, people, hopefully people are just showing up for the music or even at that point, yeah, like stumble upon your set or something like that. And it just connects with them on a level. And maybe that's their introduction as well, which is just
Yeah.
as cool, I think. Yeah, but I'm excited. I know you have, like you said, you have the tour and you have so many festival sets. I was listening to the Wakan set that you did, and then you posted on YouTube like a warehouse set that
Yeah.
was fantastic, which I loved how that
Thank
was
you.
shot. Yeah, are you
My
doing
friend
anything like? Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. My friend that I'm like one of my best friends on earth, his name's Anthony Garth, and he lives in Detroit. I'm from Detroit originally, and
Mm-hmm.
he is like a huge commercial television director,
Wow.
but he still likes to do cool like indie. He did all these like White Stripes and Eminem and everybody that's from Detroit. He did a music video for them for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said he would shoot that for me, and he did a great job on that. That
Yeah.
Detroit Warehouse said it's on YouTube if you want to look at it. And I just released a mix
So good.
yesterday that is like a sad boy mix. Like it's for like the gray days of winter when you're not raging. It's for like your car or for like staring out the window at the coffee shop or just walking down the street.
Oh, I love that.
It's called like the Gray Day Mix. And yeah, that is I think we're gonna just post it to everybody tomorrow, but it's I send everything to the newsletter first, and then a few days later we'll give it to everyone. But it's up on SoundCloud if you just search it.
I'm so glad because I still love like listening to sets like wherever it is. Like I'm a big fan of Lane 8's mixtapes as well that he puts out. So like I'm excited to check that out. I'll link the newsletter down below as well. But I did want to ask like if there's any artists listening to this podcast who also like whether they feel stuck or maybe they are juggling multiple projects, can't pick a direction, like how important do you think it is to be able to pivot and be flexible and change and like, you know, maybe even take that risk to go in a new direction?
I think that if you're not being true to yourself, it's gonna be tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're not doing what you want to do, then you might as well just go get a job.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, what's the difference? At a certain point, you're just maybe it's a little bit more fun, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened with me. I was kind of at the tail end of my Dirtybird run, and I was just looking at it like I need to flip the script because I did this for a really long time, and I just don't feel like making another house song next week. I just don't want to do it. And so I always have been playing these sets.
Right.
Since 2014 or something, I've been playing these sets just here and there. The Secret After Party, the Camp Out Bass Lodge. Somebody has like a unannounced thing. I'll come and play hip hop set. I played it in like someone's fraternity,
right,
like in Florida. So I know that if you give me the choice, I started to notice that if you gave me the choice and I was at an after party and I had an open format ability, I could do anything I wanted, that I was like, I'm not playing house anymore at those shows where I used to. Right. And so it started to creep in that I needed to change what I was doing.
Interesting. And how long do you sit with a decision like that? Like, are you somebody who, once that's in your head, like it's quickly like, okay, what are the action steps to like make this happen? Or is that something you did think about for a long time? Sorry, my dog is making noises.
Well, after we sold Dirtybird, I worked at Dirtybird for a year, not being the owner. And that was kind of how I just noticed that I'm not a very good employee. Yeah. And I just needed to change it up. So that after my year was over, I said, okay, let's do this.
Were there any I'm sure not were there. I'm sure there were tough conversations, but what do the conversations look like with that change of direction, whether it's like with your family or your team or your peers? Like, how do those conversations go?
Certain people were very surprised. I think like Green Velvet was super surprised.
Okay.
I just popped it out of nowhere on social media.
Yeah.
And because I love him to death, and I'm sure we will reunite as Get Real.
Yay.
But I think I really needed my wife to be on board with it, and she was. And the Dirtybird team got it. I think they sensed it as well. Like Darren, my label manager, who's now still the label manager, who's now running the shop, he kind of was feeling it too. I think he noticed it. I think he was surprised that I said I was going to go become a bass DJ.
Right.
But I also I think he knew kind of that I was probably going to exit.
Yeah. And what about the fans? Because I know, like, I'm sure there might be nerves even just writing up that newsletter or that post that, like, the announcement is, like, out there in the universe. Like, how did that feel?
Amazingly, the fans have been really great. It's
Mm.
very, like, if I was reading I don't always read all the comments, but I was reading them when I was switching over, and it would be like 1 out of 100 comments would be
Yeah.
like, "You're an idiot." And everyone else would be like, "Yeah,
Sure.
we of course, like, just you can't just fake the funk, like, you can't just continue doing it, and, like, nobody wants that product.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
why would we wanna see you pretending to be psyched?"
Right. Exactly.
That's
Yeah,
like
and when they hear the music, they'll get it as well. Like, yeah,
right.
why wouldn't you want to support somebody like in taking a step like that to do something? I need a shirt that says you can't fake the funk. That's amazing.
Right.
That's so true though. But yeah, of course, I mean, I would hope that people are supportive. And I'm trying to think this year, have you played any shows yet or are you saving it for the tour?
This Friday is my first outing, and I'm just
Okay.
opening for Liquid Stranger in Dallas as kind of like a trial run for
Okay.
March 8th to just, like,
Sure.
get one under the belt.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's been a friend, and, like, I played with Con, and he's just kinda like, "Will you open for me at this show?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I need
Why
to
not?
get one in. I need to get one in anyway before I just go raw into this tour, and, like,
Yeah,
day
yeah.
one has to be
Sure.
amazing, you know?"
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So you'll
And
get
I
that
also did
your
that
feet wet.
at the tail end of last year. I played that show, with Of the Trees at Red Rocks, which was kind of like the
Mm,
switch over. That was, like, the one
right.
where I said, "Hey, here's the switch over." We put out a track, we played Red Rocks together. So that was kinda like the warning shot, like, "Here's a piece of music
Mm-hmm.
that this represents, and here's a big show, and this is what's coming."
Right. That's so cool. And I mean, you touched on this a little bit, but again, just even for for advice for me, I'm just curious, like now that you have your focus on one project, do you think other things have kind of like come into more alignment or it's been like easier to like pour your time and energy into that because you don't have like a million, I'm sure you still have a million things that you're juggling, but
Yeah.
not as much under your belt, running like festivals, all this stuff. Like, does it feel more seamless, I guess, now that you're like,
It's
single-minded on this?
yes. It's more manageable, it's way more focused,
Mm,
it's more, uh it's very clear what I'm trying to do,
mhm.
and my New Year's resolution was don't start any new companies.
Yeah.
I'm like a
Oh, I
person
needed to
who
hear
thinks of
that.
I'm a person who thinks of 5 new companies a day.
Yes,
I just can't
I
do it.
relate to that so hard.
I have, like, so many ideas every day, a
Mhm.
blessing and a curse.
Yeah. Mhm. So that restraint, I mean, maybe it's like working with the coach or bouncing ideas off a team, but I mean, even having a team under you, like, is delegation something that can be hard?
Yeah. I will say this year is kind of like I'm not gonna say it's scary, but
Mhm.
this year is more of like, we used to make this amount of money, and now we're chopping that, like, into a
Mhm.
10th and
Right.
hoping that it works. And
Mhm.
if it doesn't work, then you just kinda gotta, like, reassess, but so it's a
Right.
little bit scary because I'm doing all this work
Mhm.
just assuming that it will pay off, and
Right.
my daughter has this conversation with me all the time where she's like, "Dad, not everyone is a just, like, eternal optimist,
Hmm.
and not everyone on earth just thinks everything's gonna work all the time." And she's
Right.
kinda trying to tell him, because 'cause I'm always like that, and she's,
Right.
like, trying to give me, like, a clue, like, "It's not that easy."
Right.
But then I'm like, but my response to her always is, "But if you don't think like that, then it definitely won't happen."
100%. Exactly, but it's the people who have the most positive outlook who, amazing things happen to them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it's hard. But that might also come with like experience and like life experiences as well. But I'm with you on that. I think if you're on a wavelength of being in alignment with yourself and maybe having hopeful, outcomes in mind, maybe things will just work out
Yeah,
better
we
than you
hope.
planned. I have a feeling things are gonna go really, really well. And I think it's exciting,
Thank you.
especially this year. I think the music industry is just like in an interesting place, even with like the way things are going with social media. And I think festivals, like I'm doing an episode coming up just about ticket sales and how expensive festivals have gotten and things like that. And I just think we're just at like an interesting time where people are also like things are expensive and people are being really careful
Yeah,
about where they put their time and their money. So it's
that's
cool
part
to
of the
see people
reason.
come out and support.
Yeah, sorry. That's
No,
that's
you're good.
part of the reason why we're not doing the festivals is because I know everyone just looks at the tickets and goes, "Oh, your guys are
Mm-hmm.
killing us." But honestly, I feel for the festival promoters because I know
Yeah.
that all of their costs like doubled. The artists didn't
Right.
get any cheaper. Everything is way harder, and people are getting really picky about what they're buying tickets to. So it's not like you can even just put it up and be like, yeah, it's going to sell out anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So being a festival promoter is like probably one of the hardest, most nerve wracking jobs on earth.
Mm-hmm.
It was for me, at
Agreed.
least. It was so
Right.
fun, but it was also really hard.
Yeah. No, it's was a very strange year last year for festivals, and I agree with you. I got like like three people from within the industry to write in from like different departments just about like their take as well. Not, to justify both sides, because I did want to like highlight the actual production and what goes into it and why the ticket prices are raising, and then just to talk about that so that people feel like they're spending their money in a good place. But I think when you see event production step up and you see the money being put to good use as well, and it's creating that experience for you, like for me it's so much more than music. Like I like ones that have like activities you can do, art installations,
Yeah.
camping. Like I like the whole experience because I think that adds so much more to it. But yeah, it is
That's
interesting to see where we're at.
that's what we always tried to do, the whole 360 of like
Mm-hmm.
games, activities. I'd be interested in seeing some sort of statistic because I bet the amount of festivals that turn a profit is under
Mm-hmm.
10%.
Sure. Yep.
I don't think that everyone's cleaning up. I think maybe like two or three festivals just crush it, and then
Sure.
everyone thinks that everyone's a billionaire. But
Right.
I know as far as our festival, we were running it right to the line
Mm-hmm.
every time.
Yep. Yeah, I know it's hard, and teams are smaller than people think as well, even for like the smaller like boutique festivals too. So it's tough, and I like work on both sides of it because I like the company I work for. We sponsor festivals, but then also as a festival content creator, it's been hard to be like paid as a creator and things like that too. So
Yeah.
I see it from both sides, but it is tricky. But I'm curious to see how this year goes as far as festivals. We're kind of like just gearing up for it to get crazy in
Yeah.
March. So we'll see
Everyone
what
says they're
happens
not
here.
going out until they see 5 videos of everyone out, and then I don't then it kind of changes.
Sure, sure, sure. Well, I'm sure. Well, you'll have to tell me because I mean, with life with kids changes things as well. Like my son is 6 months old, so
Oh, yeah,
I'm
you got a long
just
road.
dipping my, yeah. I'm just dipping my toes like back into things, but it's gonna be an adjustment. How do you balance like family life too with everything else you're doing?
Well, I'm on the exact opposite end of the spectrum as you.
Yeah.
So my kids are like going to college next year. They're
Mm-hmm.
starting.
That's
My son's
crazy.
going to college, and then Ella has 2 more years of high school, but they're like on the way out. So
Mm-hmm.
it does get easier. You will have a hard time. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
And then it starts to just get a little bit easier once the walking and the talking comes in and everything. You will get
Yeah.
some relief. Just there, it's
Yay.
gonna
It's
come.
sleep. Yeah.
You know what? You're
You're like
gonna
you're never
laugh a
gonna
lot.
sleep again.
I would say
Yeah.
you should cherish it because it goes super
Mm.
fast, and just try to laugh as much as you can. And it is fun in a certain way.
Yeah. That's good advice. My dad said to us, he was like, when you get frustrated, just hug them instead of getting frustrated, just give them a hug.
Yeah.
And I like literally think about that every time he's crying at 3:30 in the morning. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna hug him.
Yeah.
But it's tough. And
I feel you. It's a
yeah,
thing.
it's a roller coaster, but I mean, it's really just cool to talk to you and just hear like how you've taken your career and life, and genuinely seems like you're so happy with this project and where you're at now. Like, I guess going into 2024, is there anything else that you haven't done yet that you're just like really, really excited to do this year?
I mean, I'm trying to put myself in more uncomfortable situations. Like, I'm going to try to go to some cities like I did with London with beats to see if I can do stuff, and we'll see. I used to be really tight ass about collaborations because I don't know what my problem was, but
Right.
now I'm just like, I'll do all of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, let's just do
Yeah.
it. Like, who cares? Like, really, let's go.
Right.
Like
So
that. If
hopefully
I
we'll
think
get some cool back-to-back sets too, maybe.
maybe we'll see.
Yeah. Whatever happens at the
Yeah,
afters.
I'm much more open-minded, which is really weird. I don't know if it's I don't know if it comes with the house music genre or not, or just the way I was running. But I do feel like I had a lot of tunnel vision where I was like, everything in the house world is the only thing going on, or
Okay.
whatever, and not really thinking
Yep.
about the whole picture of the world.
Sure. Ooh, I wonder if that's going to change more, because I think you can see some artists starting to have that genre crossover where they're like, I'm throwing that out the window. I don't really care. I'm going to do whatever, whether it's just their live sets or what they're actually producing. But I think that's
Yeah,
fun. I like seeing artists like experiment and have fun and like not knowing what to expect. It makes it more interesting. So,
some weird stuff is happening.
yeah.
Like uh even like John Summit was in my DMs telling me that he's playing like our dubstep track. And I'm
Amazing.
like,
Yeah.
that's really weird.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. There's been drum and bass has been thrown in. Like
Yeah.
Dom Dalla was talking about that, how he ends a lot of his sets with his drum and bass edits of some of his tracks. So
I mean, that's
it keeps
honestly,
it
I can't.
interesting.
I did that since 2005. I just wanted
Yeah.
everyone to know that that's an original idea.
You've been
Not,
here.
I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. No, but it's cool to see. It makes it exciting. Like, I think this is going to be a very interesting year, both live events wise, music wise, and I'm excited to see you finish out your 80 days on social media. We're almost there, and then
It's
kick off the
coming.
tour. I guess last thing, like, what can people expect on the tour?
Oh, it's just gonna be fun. I want it to be fun. Like I think that you're gonna hear a lot of eclectic music. It's not just gonna be one thing. It's not just gonna be a bunch of hard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try to go as many places as I can while still realizing that you want to dance.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go all the way over like
Yeah.
somewhere else. Uh, but I just want it to be a place where you can have fun with your friends and just have this like Dirtybird Camp Out vibe in the club, and
That's awesome.
trading the patches and hanging out, and I'll chat with everybody, and it's just gonna be low stress,
Mm-hmm. That's
fun,
awesome.
and
That's so
no
cool.
like high pressure.
Right. And I'm so sorry I didn't check yet, but is there support announced yet or anything like that, or just
I think the support, yeah. So this is a good question because in line with what I'm saying, the main support in New York is Tie Dye Kai, who's also all over the map genre wise.
okay, awesome.
And then it's like we have Super Future and Great Dane and Fly. But I'm not.
Wow.
The combinations are always changing between the first
Yeah.
three shows. But all those people are on the first three shows in some order,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all like kind of people that I've either booked before or hung out with, or like Super Futures from Michigan, and he was like helping me with bass patches on the album.
That's
And Tie-Dye
awesome.
Kai had a Camp Out and Camp In, and I just liked his style. And Great Dane is like from the beat scene, and I always liked his tracks. It's like there's always like a tie-in. I never just like, oh, let's just throw on whatever person.
Right. I was going to say, that's why I'm curious to see the support for you, because I know you're going to be like uplifting some pretty cool artists that will have the opportunity. And New York will be a good one to kick it off with, because you'll know right away with that crowd.
Yeah,
But they
exactly.
love to have fun, and that'll be such a fun venue. So I will definitely try to make it out for that. I think that would be super fun. I want to get a patch. I gotta
Yeah,
come.
I'll see you there.
Hell yes. Well, lastly, plug where everybody can connect with you now. We'll plug the newsletter in so people can subscribe to that.
Great, thank you. Yeah, or just join the Barclay Discord, or whatever you want to do, whatever level of interest you have. You could, there's stuff going on. I'm doing stuff. So if you want to get involved, I'm here for you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. This has been such a fun conversation, and I'm really, really excited to see what this year has for you. I think it's going to be an amazing reception, and I'm excited for new music coming out too, so keep it going.
March 8th, the new album.
Yes. Album dropped, tour, all the things. You're so welcome. Thank you, Barclay.
Thank you so much. Bye, Emma.